Welcome GT fans, B-rated back again for the FIA Manufacturer Series here at Kyoto Driving Park, Yamajiwa. Started first on the grid, so we'll see how the race progresses and how we get on. Fab circuit though, so I hope you enjoy the footage. So obviously a couple of laps into it now, got a good start, managed to drive quite smoothly, keep it close to the apexes and try and not put too much power down. So the Subaru, which can be a bit twitchy, doing well. So off we go for the start of what turns out to be a fairly uneventful race, which is unlike myself. Normally something always happens. The circuit itself obviously is not a real life circuit. Polyphony have made this up just as they always have some fiction tracks. So this is one of them, but it has pretty much everything, some really fast flowy stuff and some also slower speed corners. I think it is quite a difficult track to overtake on. But obviously being in first place, qualifying first in pole with a 1:33.3 was my qualification time, which isn't the quickest I've done around the track. A 1:32.7 is my fastest, but pretty happy with the 1:33 and getting pole. Everybody else, it was pretty close behind, but obviously in the race itself I've managed to stay ahead and pull a little bit of a gap. So just coming on to the start of lap 3, end of lap 2, in the timing I've got just over a second, which in the first 3 laps is not too bad. Second and third place, so the German and the Spanish guy are going hammer and tongs and keep on bumping into each other, which is helping me no end. There we go, turn 1 down, a big long left-hander into the really fast section, but this can be quite tricky if you get it wrong. If you take too much curb, it pushes you wide, and then you'll be bouncing off, obviously, the corrugated steel on the side of the road. Down through the gears for this one a little bit, just one actually. You can do this in 4th gear in the Subaru, but 5th just keeps it nice and level. Try not to run too wide on all of the curbs. Down the hill, sharp braking, and this is probably my trickiest section that I have to deal with. It's very hard to get it right, so I'm definitely losing time in there, but just one of those things. I'd rather be safe than stick it in at the barrier. Again, another kind of sharper left, so a hairpin left, back on the power, get the car straightened up, and then obviously get to full power. Drift over to the left, then over to the right for this left-hander, which is quite tricky. It's kind of, it feels almost off camber when you're driving it, so it pushes you wide a little bit. And then straight up for the right hand hairpin. Try and hug the curb as much as you can. Follow the dark rubber lines. As you can see, too much power, get a little bit sideways, but got a gap to second place, so pretty much happy with that. Just keep the power down all the way down the straight, topping out at about 150 miles an hour, and then down 2 gears and hug that inside curbing. Try not to scrub the front tyres too much. Tyre wear is critical in this race. So at the minute we're running on the racing softs. My original plan was to, at the pit stop, change onto the mediums to obviously make sure I can last to the end, but actually I watched a great race with Kai 25 where he was doing exactly the same race, but he really struggled by switching onto the mediums. He had nothing to lose, he had a bit of bad luck, but actually he just lost time on the medium, so kind of preempted what I was going to do in this race depending on what was happening. Again, through kind of the left, right, left, up the hill, drift over to the middle, and then for the right hand turn we're coming into the hairpin, so need to brake hard here. Again, down into second gear, hug that inside curb, straighten it up and get on the power. So second and third both are the VW Beetles, so they seem pretty handy round here. However, at this stage pretty relaxed, and I really am just concentrating on keeping it on the tarmac, not making any mistakes, keeping it smooth, not giving it too much throttle, running no traction control, and trying to look after the tyres as well, so not giving it too much out of those corners. Sped this next section up because nothing else happens, so we're 4 times the speed. If only I could do that round the track, it would be fab, but we'll just skip through here because at this stage I was on my own and it was basically time trialing the race to pit time. So pitting on lap 7, so 1 more lap to go, and again exactly the same lines. I was really consistent, probably the best drive I've had. However, I did put a lot of practice in, so if you want to do well on a circuit and sometimes you're a little bit inconsistent, you're best putting in the time. So I must have done over 150 miles of practice on this, so bearing in mind the track is less than 3 miles long, it's a lot of practice that I put in, so a good hour and a bit. The circuit itself, I do like it. It's got everything, it flows, so really good. But coming up to the pit stop, so at this stage we just come out of here, go back to normal speed, I'm pleased to say, and then into the pits. Hopefully the Subaru guys, my team, can change these tyres quite quickly and get me back underway. So at this stage I've selected another set of softs to go on. Don't need to refuel, plenty of fuel left, and I'm in and out. Second and third place both pitted at the same time, so nobody came past, so I'm back out into the clean air, trying to get straight back on the pace if I can. Don't want to lose any time that I've gained. So I think when I went into the pits I had about 6 seconds on second and third, so you can just see them now coming on to the kind of open chicane sections, so pretty comfortable at this stage. We're going to take a look at the track in a little bit more detail on one of the difficult sections coming up, but at this stage we're just trying to put in the best out lap we can, maintain that gap just in case obviously I make a mistake and I end up on the grass. Pushing hard here, hard on the brakes again, turning in to that left, always that one, it's very difficult, and then back on the power, change up early into 4th, so I'm pretty comfortable in terms of where I'm at. I've got a nice gap, just need to keep it really smooth and simple. So again, down to the left hand hairpin, back on the power, and we're now obviously 3/4 of the way through this particular lap. Over to the right then into the left hand circuit, trying to keep the power on smooth, so half throttle, quarter, half throttle going on to full power definitely saves your tyres on this particular track. I really I was quite impressed with the Subaru. Sometimes I find that it scrubs its front tyres really badly, but in this particular race, just try not to overdrive. Try and keep in the same line, so picking up this curb on the right before turning in, coming down a couple of gears, trying to hold that inside line, hold on the throttle a little bit, 3/4 to full, and then we're back on this section. Again, aim for the centre of these curbs, don't ride too much because otherwise you'll get a penalty. And then we're over the top of the little brow. Now we're coming up to this left-hander really fast, down into 5th gear again, kind of hitting it about 115 at the apex, hold onto that line, accelerate out, up to 6th gear just as we go down this hill, and then again we're hard on the brakes. So at this stage I've just slowed it down just so you can see the curb in here. So on the inside it's kind of beveled and it's actually got some grippy sections, so you're okay to run on those. Go any further though and it will push your car wide. So as you can see, we just kind of use that sliding edge towards the track. If you go any further over, it really pushes you wide. Back up to normal speed, and we're gonna speed this section up again because again towards the end of this there's not much to look at this moment in time. I've now got over 10 seconds between me and 2nd place. 2nd and 3rd have now got a bit of a gap from each other. It does seem the 3rd person, so at this stage has changed to a Frenchman in a Lexus. He's going really well and catching 2nd place. So I don't know whether 2nd place is making some mistakes or whether they've scrubbed their tyres too soon. But certainly by the end of the race, the Frenchman's caught up quite a bit. So back up to double speed. Obviously on lap 10 now. 13 is the finish. We're just going to follow this through. And again, you'll just notice by the footage, I don't actually make that many mistakes, other than the first kind of on power slide out of the last hairpin onto the straight on lap 3. The rest of it's been pretty clean. I'm actually starting to drive quite within myself. Just keep those lines tidy, watch the tyres. You can save your tyres by doing a number of things. Changing up early, not revving the car all the way out, using slightly higher gears for some of the corners. The other way as well, when you look at the, there's a little red dot which you see just above the red indicator on the bottom of the screen there. You know, once you get over to full left or full right, it doesn't matter how much more steering lock you put on, the car's just under steering. So what you want to try and do is just keep that within that rev range, if you like. That's a good guide in terms of keeping it within the full left and full right. If you're doing that, you can hear it in the actual soundtrack. You don't hear the car slide as much. And when you're not getting that squealing noise from the front tyres, you're not scrubbing them as much. So that's what I'd certainly recommend doing. So just one more lap to go now. Final lap. It's going to go back to picture in picture just for the final lap, my lap of victory. Again, nothing else happens here, but I'll catch up with you at the end. So I hope you enjoyed the footage. Probably my best FIA result. Not the strongest of competition to be racing against, but 470 points in the bag. Maintaining my B-rated score. Obviously S for driving, but overall pretty much happy with that. Kind of wish there was a little bit more interesting things happening, but once again, thanks very much for watching. You're watching B-rated. Don't forget to click like and subscribe if you want to see more content.